to see Mary Beth Shredder, a personal fan fave of mine. Dennis didn't get to be in the interview when we interviewed Mary Beth. But I'll tell you what, we were just talking about there were so many questions that for Mary Beth. If you don't remember, Mary Beth is the one that went carnivore because she had spoken to an intuitive nutritionist or just an intuitive, I can't remember. And carnivore changed her life. And I know that Mary Beth is going to sign up because she's going to come back to us and talk to us about her parasite cleanse.
Parasite cleanse.
Which you all know that I did not want to talk.
I didn't want to do that on your video. I would not do that to you.
It's a whole topic.
Right. It's a whole, it needs its own episode.
Yeah,
for sure.
I've been talking about it, so we're all excited about it. But Mary Beth Shredder, like Dennis was saying before we came in, this is the first time that we've had somebody and their coach in the same interview. So we're pretty excited. Mary Beth Shredder is a coach. She is a transform relationship, heal addictions, spiritual mind, body, spirit recovery coach. And her coaching practice is called Day One Life Coaching, which I will share all the links in the chat. But Brittany, so Mary Beth reached out and told me about Brittany. And when she told me about Brittany, it really touched me a lot because, first of all, Brittany's 19 and Mary Beth is 51, by the way.
I am.
Looking good, Mary Beth. Looking good.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Carnivore, and thank you, No Alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And those go together.
Those go together. And, you all know that I was just asking Dennis to help me with the math. I'm 22 years sober.
Yay!
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, I don't even know if I was talking about it back then as much as carnivore. I didn't start talking about it until I stopped giving a shit recently. But but yeah, in 2003, I'm 52, almost 53. I got sober. And so when you are talking about what you do with people, how you coach them, and then you have this wonderful 19-year-old girl, it's very near and dear. So just please take your time telling your story. You both talk. There's no hurry. Everybody just wants to hear it the way you want to tell it.
Perfect.
All right. Well, my name is Brittany, and I'm a 19-year-old carnivore. I want to thank you so much for having me on this podcast today. I'm very grateful to be here. I'm really excited to tell you guys my story and how carnivore has changed my entire life. So I don't even know where to start. I guess I'll start with my childhood. I was always a very active child. I was always pretty healthy for what most people would say healthy is. I never really thought of health because I was always active. I was a gymnast, cheerleader. And I was just overall pretty healthy, never had any health issues. So as I got older, I think I started noticing fatigue, and that was about 6th grade. So I was probably 10, 12 years old. And I started noticing fatigue during the day, as well as when I'd stand up, I would get dizzy in the head. And when I'd mention that to people, they'd say, oh, that happens to me too. So I never really thought anything of it and just continued life on, thought it was normal. And as I got older, probably 7th and 8th grade, that's when I first had alcohol. That's when I first started experimenting with it. So
did you say ninth grade?
7th and 8th grade, about that
7th and 8th grade.
When I first had alcohol. So that's when that kind of started. I started drinking more throughout high school, but that's when I first had my drink. And then I still was experiencing fatigue, taking naps during the day. I would wake up for school feeling terrible. I was not eating very well. I mean, just frozen stuff, just a standard American diet, nothing special. And then I was just not doing good things for myself, eating candy. And yeah, that's actually one huge thing was my sugar addiction. That's a whole topic that I could get into. That started when I was younger. I was always one, I was like, I need more candy. People would have like 2 or 3 pieces, but I'd want the whole bag, of course. So that's something that led on through all the way up until I started carnivore. And so 7th and 8th grade went by. I was getting older. So high school started. That's when I just started making pretty bad decisions, drinking every weekend with my friends, as well as just eating terribly, eating late at night, sleeping in, going to sleep late. And there was one point in high school during those years, I ended up getting mono. I ended up getting really sick. And I didn't know that until I went to the doctor and got tested, of course. And when they took my blood, they also found out I was anemic. So I was like, okay, well, this explains a lot for me for why I was getting dizzy when I'd stand up, maybe the fatigue as well. And I'd always also feel like I was dying. That's what I'd say. I feel like I'm dying right now. I felt terrible. I feel like shit. I can cuss on here. Yeah. So I felt terrible all the time, especially throughout high school. I would drink energy drinks in the morning to start my day off, not eat until the end of the day. But that's also, I was still a cheerleader and I actually started working out as well. So I thought I was kind of balancing out my life. And then I'd go drink during the weekends, eat terribly, whatever. So I found out I was anemic and I also had mono. And mono is like a 2 week to a month sickness that sticks with you for a while. And it was misery. It was terrible. I actually went to the doctor probably a weekend because I had 103-degree fever for a week. And I was like, I need to do something about this. Something needs to get better. So they gave me prednisone. And that was the first time I actually felt good after taking the prednisone. And that's when I started actually trusting the healthcare system. Like, oh my gosh, medication is magic. This worked for me. This healed me so quick. It just boosted my immune system. So I started almost looking into medication and what it could do for me, specifically for ADHD. And that was something that I always experienced throughout life. I never had interest really in school and the things they would teach. And I thought that was just because ADHD, I have a really hard time focusing. I would just fall asleep in class, kind of with the fatigue as well. So I was trying to get onto ADHD medication for a minute. And I actually ended up getting on that right before I went to college because I really wanted to succeed in college. So before college, actually. So I was still working out and I started eating healthier, vegetables and some meat as well, but not anything great. I was still eating frozen food, packaged, processed foods, still standard American diet, just a little bit healthier from what I thought. So actually, there's one time in high school, probably my senior year, I was just sitting in class one day and I've never really had a good steak up until this point. And I just was craving steak. I was just picturing it in my head. And I was like, after school today, I'm going to go get a steak. And that's what I did. And ever since then, I haven't stopped craving steak, which is crazy. Like my body was telling me exactly what it needed.
Intuitive.
Yeah, exactly. So ever since then, I have not stopped craving steak. That has just been an ongoing thing. I mean, of course, now I'm a carnivore, but I still had that preconceived notion that you could eat too much meat and that you have to eat vegetables and all this other stuff. It's a balanced diet, whatever. So I did want to mention that part. So I still crave steak. That's been a thing, whatever. So I go to college and that's kind of where I fell off with my health. I stopped working out, stopped eating healthy. I was eating the dining hall food. I would run by the store, grab bags of candy and eat them, not in moderation, of course.
Not in moderation.
Not in moderation.
And by the way, when did your acid reflux issues start?
Oh, yes.
Before this, right?
Yeah. So actually at the age of 13, I started taking acid reflux medication. I started taking birth control as well. So the doctors didn't tell me that you're only supposed to be on, what was I on? Prilosec, omeprazole for 6 years. I was on it for 6 years. The doctors never told me that I was only supposed to be on it for 30 days. I took it every single day.
And they didn't ask about lifestyle and food, or they just put her on a prescription.
No, not at all. They did not ask me any of that stuff. So I just took it every day. When I wouldn't take it, I immediately would get heartburn. But obviously, I wasn't paying attention to the foods I was eating and didn't even know that maybe these foods cause heartburn. Now, I would associate some foods with heartburn because I knew they would cause it, and it was always carbs or sugar, something like that. So I was on acid reflux medication, and then I was on the pill as well, which I think was also depleting me of nutrients, and as well as omeprazole, because it literally takes away your stomach acid, which which takes away the ability to absorb nutrients from food. So people would end up getting osteoporosis from that. She knows about this, I can tell. So yeah, I was doing that for a really long time, and I still felt terrible, fatigued, just sick almost. I never really felt good, and I didn't know what good felt like. I just thought everyone kind of felt terrible.
And you're and so young, I can't imagine.
Now, when
I
you were
know,
going to the doctor for like the for the acid reflux medication and stuff, did they do blood panels and check and see if there's any other issues, cholesterol,
not that I remember, honestly.
right?
I feel like I just knew about Prilosec because my dad would take it, and I was like, it works for him, so it's going to work for me. So I'm going to start taking it. And they just put me on it immediately. There's really no questions asked, I don't think. I mean, I was 13 at the time, so it was really, it was a
So
long
you
time
went in
ago.
with a symptom, and they gave you the medication.
Yes,
to treat
pretty
the
much. It was
symptom. Right.
very easy to get that medication. Same with birth control. They were just very easy with giving it to me. They didn't really ask too many questions. So
And same with ADHD meds.
same with ADHD medication. They actually just had me fill out a paper, and they're like, yep, you have ADHD. Let's check that off the list. Here's your medication. And if you need a higher dose, we can give you that too. So yeah, they're really good at that. So yeah, when I went to college, that's when everything started going downhill. I was drinking more. I was eating terribly. I was taking my medication and the ADHD medication. And I actually hired the dose of the ADHD medication before I went to college because I was like, I need more. I need to make sure I'm focused and whatever. It actually ended up keeping me up for days at a time. I would stay up for like 2 to 3 days, or I wouldn't sleep at all through the night. It was a extended long release medication, so it would last like 14 hours. So if
Well,
I
and
didn't,
it's addictive, and
Yeah.
they've got the addictive personalities and the addictive medications. It's not a great combo.
exactly, it's not, and I just thought I could lean on that to do my work, to stay up, to not fall asleep, whatever. But I think it actually gave me more anxiety and kind of threw me into a psychosis at some point. Um, but I was just not doing anything good for myself. And especially I noticed myself falling off when I stopped working out, because that was something that I really took pride in and that I loved to do, was just staying active. So then kept drinking, and this is when I started experiencing a lot of consequences because of my drinking. So I first got kicked out of my dorm. Like, this is all within one semester, just to let you know. So, it was quick, but also I'm now grateful for all of it. Okay. Got kicked out of my first dorm, got moved to a second dorm. They thought that maybe would stop me, but it didn't, of course. So that's when I drove drunk and got a DUI. I went to jail for a night.
And you wrecked your car.
I wrecked my car into a ditch. Yes. So I don't remember any of that. I actually started blacking out because of alcohol. And that's because your brain knows when to shut off because of how much you're drinking. So my brain would just shut off and I wouldn't remember anything. And that actually what happened to me a lot and started happening more as I drank more. So yeah, so that huge consequence there, it really made me consider a lot, for sure. And I actually got kicked out from the school. So I was too good for them. That's what I say now. But so I got kicked out of school, and I was like rethinking my whole life. Like, wow, Like that was kind of bad. Maybe I should make some life changes. So that's kind of around the time my mom, she was also very concerned as well. And she started doing some research. I went to a therapist before when I was a lot younger and I didn't like that at all. So she started researching life coaching. And that's kind of where Mary Beth came up. I think she just
That's
found
when I
her.
got the call.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's when she got the call. And my mom said, yeah, you're going to try this out. And she was super nice. She told me about the entire discovery recall.
Yeah, we talked for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Your mom and I did. Yeah. I do a free call just to make sure, you know, before we get started, that it's a good match. It's a good fit, because I want it to be a vibrational match.
Exactly. And it was for sure. I didn't know what to expect going into it. Just because I wasn't the one talking. This was all through my mom.
That's
just
true.
because she was very worried about me. And I mean, after that whole thing,
She showed
any
up
mom
cold
would-
to my house. Like,
yeah. Yeah. As any mom would be very concerned about their child. So, yeah, first time I came here, it was a great experience. Actually, one of the first things we did is pull out her addiction recovery cards.
which I never do. I was telling her, I don't usually get woo woo in my first session, but all my sessions with clients are so different. You know, you can't, one thing does not work for everybody. The reason Brittany drank and the reason her brain is programmed the way it is so different than everybody else's. But with her, I just knew, I'm like, let's pick a card. And the crazy thing is she picked the nutrition card. And I was like, I wanted to put it back. I'm like, why? You know, like the nutrition, like I knew why she was here. And I'm like, no, it's always right. There's no mistakes with law of attraction. Let's just go with that. Right. And I started asking her questions about that. And then that's when she's like, I eat pretty good. And I'm like, well, tell me, you know, and she's like, I'm like,
green beans.
I don't know.
Broccoli,
Yeah.
orange chicken.
And then when she started being more open, she's like, and I have this, and it was a lot of crap still, you know? And, so I started just telling her about, I said, you know, I actually never tell people to do carnivore. I tell them about my experience with them. And then if they get inspired to do it, they do it, you know, which happens often because it's so different. And it takes a while, you know, and I send a lot of videos that, you know, I don't want to waste a session on just talking about carnivore cells and like Ken Berry or, you know, Dr. Anthony Chafee, you know, and all of them, and Lisa Wiedemann. And, you know, yeah, so the first video I ever saw was Ken Berry and Carnivore Dr. Lisa and interviewing. And that was my first one that it kept popping up on my YouTube. And that intuitive that you were talking about, she was like, your guides are telling me you keep getting rid of this video. They're trying to get you to watch. And it kept showing up on my algorithm. I was like, gross, carnivore, ew. Cause I'm like almost a vegetarian at that point, you know, thinking I'm doing something good for my body. I'm the healthiest person in the world with all these health problems, you know, but, that's how I knew. Then I watched that video because the intuitive told me they're trying to get you to watch this video. You keep Xing it out, watch it. And that's why I watched it. And that was the start for me. But for her, it was picking this card and then having that discussion. And I love that she loves all of my woo-woo stuff. So her sessions are like very fun for me because we get to do all this stuff, and she believes in the spiritual stuff. And the way I talk about alcohol is I do believe, like when you black out, you know, you're lowering your vibration and you're allowing negative energies into your field, into your energetic field. We all have this and that's part of what's going on. And people don't realize that. That's why you could look in somebody's eyes and it's not them when they're blacked out. You know, I'm not saying possession, but I do think people get influenced when they're under the influence of spirits. That's why we call it spirits. So that's my woo-woo. I'll get off of that now. But having said that, that's how we started talking about carnivore. And then a lot of her habits, that's when I started to bring up the MTHFR gene mutation, which I have, because her story reminded me a lot of my situation and how I processed it. It's not an allergy. It's our detox pathways aren't working, right? And I had homozygous. I didn't even know if I knew this last time I was here. I didn't know till very recent. Did I bring it up? So I have the homozygous. So it turns out I got it from.
I think you messaged me about it after your interview.
That's right. You're right. So I got it from both parents, which is extra bad because it's like my detox pathways are operating about 20 to 25%. So that's why when I would drink the same amount somebody else drank, I'd be extra effed up. I would be like, and then I'd have really bad hangovers and really bad anxiety, even if I had 2 glasses of wine, because my body wasn't processing properly. And the only reason I knew that, I got a blood test. My B12 was crazy off the charts. And I asked my doctor, like, what's up with that? This was years ago. And she's like, oh, we're not going to worry about that. You can't die of high B12. And I'm like, but there's a reason I don't take B12. What? Mm-hmm. And so what that means, you guys, if you have high B12 off the charts on your blood work, that means, it doesn't mean you have high B12. It means you're not absorbing it. It's sitting out in your bloodstream. You're not methylating. It's a problem with methylation. Gary Brecka talks about methylation issues all the time, right? If you guys follow him. Mm-hmm. And it's real, a lot, like 40% of Americans, I think, have like at least, one parent with it. So, they might have better detox pathways than me, but bottom line, I had Brittany, I talked to her mom, like, hey, I think she should get tested for it. And she ended up having it, but also a different gene mutation along with that. And I can't remember what it was.
There's 2 versions that I have of it. I think they're heterozygous. Yes, they're both heterozygous, but then there's like 2 versions that I have of the MTHFR gene.
Yeah. So she's like, alcohol is affecting her differently for the same thing. And then we get, you're an alcoholic, or maybe sometimes when we call people, say you have an allergy, it's really that your detox, your body doesn't like toxins. It's doing the right thing. It's like, and we're sitting here labeling people. It's interesting. It's just like our bodies, like my body now that I'm so detoxed, any little toxin thing will affect me more because I'm more sensitive to toxins than I've ever been, because my body's more intuitive than it's ever been. And I just know that it's just people get to that point where what used to feel normal is no longer normal. Like, I think we used to tolerate feeling like shit.
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't know. We didn't know.
Dodie wants to know, which genetic test did Mary Beth use to discover, which genetic test did you end up using to discover the gene?
So I use Defy Medical, which is a telemed company for hormones, since I'm 51, and no one ever recommended it to me. Just so you know, my doctor didn't, no one did. A lot of doctors just don't even believe in it. So basically I saw it I could order it in this from Defy Medical. So it said MTHFR is what it was called. And I'm like, I've always felt that I have this. So I ordered it for myself. I couldn't do it like through LabCorp as a walk-in. Okay. So I had to order it, and I just saw it on there, and you got it. You guys, you got to be your own advocate. You got to do it yourself, because doctors don't know about this stuff. They don't know about the parasite cleanses. They actually don't believe in it. So they look at you like, let me give you an antidepressant. That's what you need. You need an antidepressant. And I've literally just, each new thing that I do, I get more and more healthy. It started with quitting alcohol. Like, I'm glad I didn't discover the Parasite cleanse, by the way, initially, because it needed to go.
You wanted to be able to enjoy it?
No, I just don't know how much it would have taken care of some problems that, I don't know that I would have done carnivore.
Your body, you got through your layers of health steps. What do you use for your detox? Dodie wants to know. What did you use for your detox?
Which detox?
Which one? She'll type it in here. Wendy, well, we're not going to talk parasites today, but I think that maybe you already referenced it, what you use for your detox. But if it's parasites, save that. Because I have to prepare myself mentally and spiritually. No, Dr. Barbara, we're not talking about parasites. I just no. Okay, you can say it if you want to.
I will say that I used a bunch of different things, because I was like just following all these different. I wouldn't do that again. My dentist used something. She's a holistic dentist, and I told her I was doing a parasite cleanse. She used something called Cellcore, CELLCORE, I believe.
I'll type this.
And what?
I'll type it.
Yes, Cellcore. And she said, I'm just going to say this. Yes, Cellcore Parasite Kit. Well, I told her when I was at the dentist, I said, guess what? I'm doing a parasite cleanse. And I had a tapeworm and I had this and I had this. And she was like, me too. And she goes, Mary Beth, she's a 50, she's 66, like 65-year-old lady. She's about to retire. She's like, I took Cellcore. That's why I'm telling you guys that. She said, I shit out a I think it was like 2-foot long tapeworm. And she said, I was going to call 911. Like I was freaking out, and she was anyway, sorry to do this to your episode.
Dennis Ford, we've been able to avoid it this long, but the parasite discussion is coming.
That's coming. So now back to Brittany.
Back to Brittany. Dennis,
I'm trying to get her to do one. She's going to do a cleanse.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you what, she can come back too, because it's becoming more and more prevalent in our discussions in here. And so I think we're getting close. Dennis, do you have any questions yet for Brittany?
No, I think it's just awesome. And just goes to show you how everybody's different, like, with the gene mutations and stuff, and how, Brittany handled alcohol versus somebody else, how they handle it. And, a doctor's reaction is just, it's an immediate go-to is, medication for whether it's the ADHD or it's, whatever kind of symptoms you have, it's always medication, and I just think that, we're all different and we all gotta, like Mary Beth, you said that each client that you talk to and speak to, your approach to each is gonna be different.
Individualized. Yeah.
Because we're all different. We don't.
Everybody's so different. Our programming of why we have these addictions is so different. It's not one size fits all, it's customized. And spoiler alert, Brittany is no longer
on any medication. So
awesome.
I got
can you talk about that, how you went about weaning yourself off, because there are people in here that have been on or are on those medications, and there are people who have kids or grandkids who have been on or are on those medications. So take your time talking about that.
Yeah, of course. So I will say, like, when I started the carnivore diet, so I heard about it, then I started it right away because I was immediately interested. At this point, I'm obsessed with steak just because of that initial craving that I had. So I had no problem with eating steak every single day, along with eggs, and I was eating cheese at first too, some dairy as well. And I mean, leaning off carbs and sugars is a whole other topic as well. But one day, I didn't even know that I could get off omeprazole because of carnivore. But I just one day was thinking, maybe if I just stopped taking it, I wonder what would happen. So I just stopped taking it. I didn't wean off of it. I just stopped taking it. As long as I was eating only meat, it was okay. So I think for a whole week, I ended up getting heartburn, and it was kind of severe. But after that, it actually ended up just going away for me. I didn't experience it at all after that. And the ADHD medication, I would only take that. So after I stopped going to university, I went to a community college, and I would take it only a few days a week. So I'd only take it for the days I would go into school. So it was like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. So I'd only take it for those days. So I was like sort of weaning off of it in that way. And then eventually,
there we go. I love that picture right there.
Me eating my steak.
Yeah.
Yes, I love steak. Yeah. Yeah. Ribeye is one of my favorites as well. So, for the ADHD medication, this kind of ties into the whole aviation aspect. Actually, that's funny that I now say that.
Perfect.
So because I want to become a pilot, I'm working on that right now, but you have to acquire a medical before you actually are able to fly solo. I could fly with an instructor, just not alone. So I'm not able to get my private pilot's license until I get that medical. But to get that medical, I have to get cleared for the whole DUI thing. So they're having me do a bunch of stuff,
Extra stuff. Loopholes, a lot of red tape she's got to jump through.
Yes, a lot of stuff that I have to do. I get tested 14 times a year. I have to do a bunch of stuff, but you're also not allowed to be on medication for that. Specific medications that change your mind. So ADHD medication, or I would say prescribed meth. But so I had to get off that as well. And I just got off of that. I didn't really have a problem with that. I was already carnivore and I wasn't taking it much anyways. I stopped doing the community college because this pilot thing was just looking so promising to me. So I got off of omeprazole, got off of ADHD medication. Then I also got off the birth control somewhere in there as well. And I actually noticed that I felt so much more stable mentally. And I think mainly that had to do with carnivore, because I remember there was one point where I felt so stable because I felt a lot of anxiety, a lot of negative thoughts. I just felt so good that I literally got emotional about it just because of the carnivore diet. And I think at that point I was still on birth control, but I remember getting off of the birth control, I felt completely stable, which was kind of crazy for me. And I never thought that food could possibly affect how I feel and how I think, which is, I mean, you don't think that normally, and we're not taught that at all. And I also, with that iron deficiency that I had, I also didn't experience that dizziness when I'd stand up. I would stand up and everything would go black. I'd have to hold onto a counter. And that's something else I just stopped dealing with, which was awesome. I don't have fatigue anymore.
The sleep quality.
Yeah.
Sleep quality.
Eliminating sugar and carbohydrates, right? That's, if you're addicted to that, that's, just like alcohol and,
Exactly.
drugs, like you get addicted. So it's hard to get off. So how did your body adjust to not
Sleep.
grabbing bags of candies, or just, typical standard American diet food, or, how did it affect you?
So that was definitely a struggle, I would say, being a sugar addict. I loved sugar so much, and I didn't realize how much I loved it until I started taking. Oh, that's my boyfriend.
I sent your boyfriend's picture in.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart. But I didn't realize how badly I was addicted to sugar until I started getting off of it, and I started having the most intense cravings ever. These are the best pictures.
We were having fun.
We're having a great time. So getting off carbs and sugar was so hard. And there has definitely been times over these past few months that I've been on it. I've been on it since I think January or February of this year, where I have cheated on the diet. I have had something that wasn't within the carnivore diet, something that I probably shouldn't eat. And I would have immediate reactions. I think, like you were saying, we're
so detoxed.
Yeah, we're so detoxed that we're literally toxin detector machines. So
Yeah.
when I would have like a scoop of ice cream, my whole body would freak out, immediate bloat. My mind would feel different. I would get anxiety.
Brain fog.
Yes, I'd feel terrible. So getting off of it at first was so difficult. But I think what helped me the most was reprogramming my brain to, when I look at sugar, understanding what it does to your body and that it's poison. It's literally poison just as much as it is alcohol. I mean, alcohol evidently breaks up to sugar inside of your body, but sugar is like the cause of every health condition.
Inflammation. Yeah.
Inflammation. Exactly.
And then inflammation causes everything. Right?
Yes, exactly. So yeah, sugar, I just look at it and I just see like cancer. Like that's just what I tell myself.
Your motivation is like not once you went clean and then you go back and have a little bit even the bad effects that you got again from the sugar, and also the bad effects from the sugar. Bad effects from the sugar. We'll leave it at that.
And then
So that's your
and then
motivation
that you
not to
feel
go
it,
back.
you feel it right away. Like you feel, that's what happens to my younger daughter's 18 and she does paleo and she really tries not to eat seed oils. But just like you just said, as soon as she eats something that she knows is, not what she normally eats, she gets a little depressed. Her body feels bad, she bloats up. And so it really becomes, I think, Dennis was getting at that. It becomes like your motivation to you're like, I felt so good, now I feel so bad, and all
Yeah,
I
you don't
had
want to go
was a
back.
cup of ice cream. Yeah.
Yeah.
And whatever your motivation needs to be, like one of the things with Brittany, I'm like, hey, if vanity is your motivation, let it be your motivation, because she was gaining weight and, and she cares about, she takes pride in the way she looks. So it's like that, me too. Like when I quit drinking alcohol a little over 6 years ago, I was like gaining weight and it was out of control. And I was like, you know what? F this. I am not going to, no, we're not going to do this. It is not worth the trade-off. So she does things like we went over, she got invited to a frat party, and I'll let her tell that story because I was like, no. And her mom was like, no, like that's the worst place to go when you're newly sober. But she went, and I'll let her tell that story. But, we went over all these strategies for Brittany personally on how is she going to be at the frat party? How is she going to resist any temptation? Because it's hard. It's hard at my age, her age, because alcohol, I mean, that's a kind of a big deal at a frat party. So, she was like, she's calling it ugly juice, right? She's like, it's just going to make me ugly, whatever you need to do. And it just like whatever works for you. Certain things are going to motivate me that aren't going to motivate her. And for all of us, we're all different. So that was like a great motivation for her. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ugly juices. I saw somebody was talking about it on a reel, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got a light bulb in my head. And I was like, wow, that's what I'm going to call it, ugly juice. Because I mean, it's so glamorized now. We see commercials, we see fun videos of people having so much fun drinking, and it looks so cool. But little do they know they're getting uglier with every drink that they have.
And other people are looking better.
Yeah, to them, right? And they aren't, they're showing us their highlights. They're not showing themselves at 3 a.m. when they have anxiety, or, like the next day when we're only seeing the fun parts, and nobody's being honest about the reality of drinking too much alcohol.
Exactly.
So like I get, because that kept me drinking for too long. If I'm being honest, all the joking about it on social media and how cool it was and how fun it was, and all the memes where it made it look okay. Like, okay, well, this is just fun and funny, right? And no, it's not in real life. It's not fun and it's not funny.
They never talk about how toxic it is to your body.
Nobody talks about it. We all want to be in denial.
Yeah, especially for a young girl. It's very difficult because when you go to college, I mean, you open up the student newspaper and it's full of liquor ads, what's on sale. And there's parties all the time. Even the good kids, even the Christian group kids, they're even drinking. And so it's very difficult. I commend you, and whatever you want to talk about the frat party, you can, but I thought it was so sweet. Mary Beth, when she sent the pictures over, she, clearly you guys went out and had a meal and hung out.
We went to a comedy club.
Yes.
That's part of like mentoring too, is like showing her like you can have fun without alcohol, but it does take some practice when you're used to only going out. Like she started drinking at a young age. Yeah. And so did I. And then you just get used to that. And a lot of her friends quit hanging out with her for a long time. And I know that's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to ask about, because I mean, I'm lucky, I have Dennis. We are the same, but that's unusual. I have this group, we talk to each other, but in your situation, Brittany, I mean, you must have had to really like maybe cut some people out of your life or make some choices that you didn't want to make and that were probably hard.
For sure. I think that the people who were their instigators, or people who were drinking and that was just their lifestyle, I think they just kind of fell off once I quit, because they knew about my situation or I told them about it. And then I had the whole pilot stuff where I like had to stop drinking, and I was getting tested. Well, fun fact, alcohol stays in your hair for 9 months. 6 months, stays in your
I didn't
nails
know
for
that
90
either.
days.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And it's like, what does that do to your hair and nails? So they test for my hair and nails as well. So I literally can't drink even if I wanted to, which that whole perspective has changed, of course. But it was definitely hard. I felt like I wasn't having people who were my age supporting me. Of course, my family was supporting me. Everyone around me, besides really, I mean, my friends were still supportive of me, but they're not wanting to hang out with a 19-year-old who doesn't drink. I mean, she's not cool. She's weird. That's what 19-year-olds think, I think. I don't think
Yeah,
19-year-olds.
that's a tough situation because that really is what I mean. We all went through it. We all did it,
That's
you know,
what,
it's
yeah,
like-
and that's what Hannah,
And
I
you know, it's
mean,
funny because I was going to say Hannah's in,
Yeah.
she's a freshman year at Purdue University, and she made the decision to not be involved in that kind of.
Nice.
Dennis
things.
he's trying to paraphrase it nicely. She said,
I
I'd
don't
get
know
in
what she
trouble if
actually
she,
said, but
I'd get in trouble if she knew I was saying this. But she said, Mom, I made the decision to hang out with the Christian kids instead of hang out with the drinkers. Because I mean, she
and
could
it's not an
see
easy
already
decision,
the
I'm sure.
pressure. I mean, there was like the very first weekend, there was so much pressure to drink. And so I can see that, you know, finding somebody like your boyfriend and close friends that can be supportive of you and you can hang out and do other things, um, other than just get hammered is I commend you. So did you have to change your whole friend group?
Sort of. I feel like I still don't have like a whole new friend group. I can't really, it's hard to find people at my age who are like looking for their best interest in their health. Because we're so young. It doesn't really matter where you eat or drink. It doesn't affect you that much. We're so young.
Invincible.
Invincible. Yeah,
Mhm.
we think that. But I mean, obviously over time it builds up in your body and everything. We know that now.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's been something hard to deal with, but I still am friends with the people I was with before. They're still great people. And we just do different things in life. We just have different
Ideas of fun.
lifestyle habits.
Mhm.
Yeah. And ideas of fun and what is exciting and what to
you're
do.
committed to your, you know, hopefully new career as a pilot, you know, that'll be
Yeah,
awesome.
which
So that's, you're determined to do that and at any
Yeah.
cost, right? You're foregoing hanging out with people that, you know, maybe it's not such a great influence on there.
Well, and you don't want to
Sure.
get tempted, you know, and she really didn't get invited out for a while. And I don't
Mhm.
think anyone was being mean. It just is a mismatch
Yeah.
at that point.
I didn't
And
want to
then-
make her feel uncomfortable, probably.
And then when she does get invited out, that's the frat party story.
Yeah, exactly. That's the frat party
And I
story.
did not want that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom was like, "You're going to a frat party?"
Yeah, or your mom had PTSD.
Yeah, my mom had a little PTSD from the few times that I either went missing, lost a phone, or woke up in jail. So, so yeah, it was
We can laugh
definitely-
about it
Yeah,
now.
we can laugh about it now. I mean, I'm grateful for it all because it has brought me to carnivore. So, but yeah, so I went to this frat party and it was a great time. I was with my old friends. I obviously didn't drink. It was really cool to see people drunk and I was sober because I don't think I was ever that person who went out and was sober ever. And I was like, this is my first time experiencing it. And I can't have one drink. And I knew that. And I already knew it wasn't an option for me. It wasn't going to happen for me, obviously. But I mean, it was just such a weird perspective to see it all. But I honestly had a great time. I remember the whole night. I want to say that I don't know how to word this correctly without sounding almost
Leverage.
yeah, I felt like I had leverage over people. I was gonna say I felt like I felt better than people. I mean,
You felt like the
physically
bigger,
better.
the bigger,
yourself,
the
Yeah.
bigger
you're in
person in
control
the
of
room.
everything,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
I always say, just remember, most people drink. You're going to always have leverage over that. You just do, and you're more clear-headed. And we
Mhm.
always think we're so funny and stuff. But you know, once you start going out sober and you hear people repeating the same stories and slurring and telling the same joke over and over, and then you're like, gosh, you were so much funnier when I was drunk too. Because let's face it, drinking dumbs down your brain.
Oh, yeah.
It does. Like that's not mean.
guys-
It's
you
a
guys
fact
went-
of alcohol. That's what it does.
Yeah, but you went to a comedy club. Did you not laugh because you want to drink it? No,
Good
but,
point.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
We
I
had a
feel like
blast.
my perspective of fun has changed so much because I'm not doing those going out and drinking every night where you get this spike of dopamine and drinking whatever. So I was able to like level out my dopamine levels. So when I do something like go out to dinner, something simple like that, or go to a comedy club, it's a great time to me. I enjoy it so much.
You get dopamine hits from different things. You know,
Exactly.
it's not like you still don't have that fun. And, you know, because we, you know, that's the thing with the, you know, I have addictive brain as well, you know, and we need to always replace the dopamine with something else, you know, something healthier. You know, I think I said this in the first episode, I became a gym rat for a while, you know, because what am I going to do now that I'm not going to happy hour every day with my friends? You know, I've got to find something. So I would go to the gym and get my dopamine a different way, and all your brain chemicals, you know, all the good stuff while you're exercising, you know, that's just a great thing for people to do. But then what did I do with my addictive brain? I got obsessed with working out and overdid it, you know, and that's something else we wanted to bring up is abstinence versus moderation. Like you got to ask yourself, am I someone who can moderate, you know, because I'm not. I'm amazing at abstinence. You know, I can go on and, you know, not have any sugar, but as soon as I have that cookie, I want the whole sleeve of cookies, you know, like don't open that window. And that's what I say about alcohol. Like you even if you can moderate for 10 times in a row, that 11th time you're going to get fucked up. You know, it's just, eventually you're going to go over. So we can't open that window because we're abstainers. We're not good at moderation. We don't have the dial that other people have, you know, it's just, you got to admit that eventually. And, you know, you have to have that energetic shift too. Like, I am no longer that same person. I am not that person who used to have wine for lunch. I'm not, you know, like I used to be that person, but that's just, I don't identify with it. That's not my identity anymore. And unless you have that true shift in identity, that it's an energetic level, you're going to be white knuckling it and you're going to really want it. And that's why you got those dry alcoholics, like they're dry drunks.
Yeah.
And I
Dry
talked
drunks.
last time, I never would call myself an alcoholic because I am, I'm not going to say anything negative after those
You're
words.
not going to
They're
make
very
that your
powerful.
identity.
Exactly. Those are powerful words. You're in creative mode. I'm not going to create that. That's not part of my reality. I'm just a person who used to have a bad relationship with alcohol.
Can I
Now
talk about
I don't.
the darker side of all of it just for a moment? Because I can relate. Um, but you know, for me, I have alcoholism in my gene pool, and and you know, my dad, who's also recovered after me, jolly drunk, drank, you know, a little bit all day. And I really think that it was to same for me, quell anxiety. And also it is an escape, you know, every time you're
Yes.
eating a bunch of sugar, uh, doing your, you know, being addicted to the gym, drinking. For me, it was like, okay, now I can just numb out everything else. So when you both gave up your addictive substances, how have you dealt with being able to stare reality in the face and not want to go into an escape mode?
And feel your emotions and sit with them instead
Feel
of
the
numbing them
feelings.
out and escaping them. Yeah, it's a process, right?
It
Yeah,
is,
it's
for
not
sure.
something you do overnight, you know, but I mean, at first you have to just go through it, right? You do that shadow work and deal with like it's just a reality slapping you in the face, right?
Exactly. It was kind of shocking to me how much clear-headedness, how much clarity I had in my mind. Like there was no escaping, and I really just had to learn to enjoy that place. But that kind of just goes back to carnivore, like getting rid of the sugar. I didn't realize sugar was making my mind negative. I didn't realize I was having negative thoughts and anxiety because of sugar. But when I cut that out, it just goes away. And no one has ever told me
And the
that.
alcohol is a depressant.
Alcohol.
It's a depressant.
Yes.
And you're sitting there, and then what your body does naturally is create stimulants to counteract the depressant. And then the alcohol wears off and you're left with all these stimulants. That's why you guys are waking up at 3 a.m. with anxiety, you know, like, and that's why I did, because you're the depressants out of your system. And now you're just stimulated, and that causes that anxiety. Alcohol is it temporarily helps with anxiety, but it long run creates the anxiety. So a lot of this stuff, you don't need the alcohol once you quit. It's the cause of the problems. So you get rid of it. You realize I was causing my own damn anxiety. Yeah. And that's why I started too, because of social anxiety. And a lot of that's just throwing yourself into situations while you're afraid. You do it scared. Like I had social anxiety, and you just got to do it anyway. And eventually you realize, oh, like the first time I ever did a podcast, I was, freaking the F out, and now now I've done like 100 or more, and it is what it is. But you just do things scared, and you learn it's not really as scary as I built it up in my mind to be.
Yeah.
You learn to manage your emotions.
I love that, because I mean, there are a lot of people our age, Mary Beth, who are on antidepressants, but heck, at Brittany's age, at my daughter's ages, every kid is on a depressant, not just one, but some kind of cocktail. And I mean, Dennis and I talk about this all the time, and how wonderful it is that Brittany is going to be able to go into adulthood being able to just deal with life.
That's amazing.
I told her mom that today.
Setting yourself up for the rest of your life now to be healthy.
If I knew the stuff that she knows and that she's so open to with my coaching, I'm like, Brittany, I could rule the freaking world. Like, I wasted 3 decades with alcohol. Like, I feel like, you have this amazing gift of, learning it so young and just being able to see from that bird's eye view, like, hey, wait a minute. This isn't working for me. And being at that frat party, somebody offered her an energy drink and she was like, and I didn't have it. I'm like, but hang on. That would not, if you were like really feeling like, oh, I need something, that's not the end of the world. Like, don't be too hard on yourself either. You are only 19. It's if you ended up making that decision, that's okay. Like,
and we go in waves, right? I mean, we go forward, we go backward. There's no judgment. It's all learning. I wanted to ask you both, what do you both eat as carnivores? What are your favorite meals? And do you eat any non-carnivore food? And who are your favorite carnivore pundits?
I'm going to let you go first because mine's going to get weird.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, I mean, steak, of course, is going to be my top favorite. Beef. I love beef.
Do you make your own steak? Do you make your own steak? Do you cook it yourself, or?
Yeah, I do. I'll cook it on my grill outside. One of my favorites cut of steak is a hanger steak. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's so delicious. I work at a steakhouse solely for the purpose that I could get steak. And
that was it. She started there after she was a carnivore. I was like, that's awesome. Hook me up.
Exactly. So I could get steak after work if I need, or before. So that was purposeful, and I get a discount. So, I think steak is my overall favorite. When I eat steak, I don't need anything else with it. Just steak cooked in butter, maybe some more butter on top, steak and salt. And what was the last question you asked?
Influences.
Do you have a favorite? Do you have carnivores that you watch online? That you watch podcasts, anything like that?
One of my favorites.
And Dodie wants to know if you drink coffee too. Sorry.
I do drink coffee. Yes, I do drink coffee. So I try to pick the best one, of course, because I know coffee. Is it even considered carnivore?
It's not. Okay. It's literally a plant toxin, but I drink it too. And we talked about that last time.
Almost every single one of us.
Yeah, I do the Life Boost, and I alternate between an organic one, an instant one. Mount Hagen is like when you're in a hurry.
Exactly. So I'm picking the best option of coffee that doesn't have mold and stuff in it. That's terrible for me. Not putting any sugar in it. Of course, I put some butter in my coffee, heavy whipping cream, and some salt. If I were to tell that to any normal person, I think they would be thinking I want to induce a heart attack. But I think carnivores understand. So, I do drink coffee, and occasionally I would have berries. My mom, she'll make stuff with berries, but I'll have some blueberries. And I've heard that berries are not the worst fruit out of all the fruits the worst natural sugar. And I notice I don't have any reaction to that. The only reaction I have is I just kind of want to eat the whole thing of it, but I can kind of stop myself from eating too many berries.
Does your mom
So-
and dad eat carnivore or siblings?
No, they don't. But I actually got my dad to try it. Like, he fasted for 24 hours. Then he had steak and eggs, and he plays basketball. So he ate that. He fasted, ate that. Then he played basketball, and he came back home and he was like, wow, I feel so amazing. I've never played that good. I had so much energy. And I'm like, you could do this all the time. You would feel so good. But he's a carb lover, which, I mean, me too.
We all are.
We all are. Oh, 100%. So yeah, but he definitely believes in it and understands it. And so does my mom. She definitely,
How about your boyfriend?
I actually kind of turned him carnivore as well.
I love it.
So he's not full carnivore right now, but he was for a month. He's more animal based.
But he will be.
Oh, he will be 100%. So he does love it. He loves eating meat, and he's, like I said, more animal based now. But
He looks a little bit like Ryan Gosling. I told him that.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
see
it
that
does.
now that you
Yeah.
mention it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I see that. Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
some people that I actually listen to or have a lot is Kendi Berry. That was probably the first guy that I listened to.
Yeah, I
about
sent you that
carnivore.
video, the same one. That's the one that the Dr. Lisa and Ken always send that same video because it was the one that was so inspirational to me. And I think most of us need two doctors talking about it initially because it seems so crazy at first.
And I don't know if you know this, Mary Beth, but Dr. Lisa just started incorporating a few carbohydrates.
I
due
do. And that was what I was
to-
going to talk to you about because I saw you liked that video because Instagram shows you since we're Instagram friends. And I was like, okay, I can bring this up because I was like, so I'm 51. I just got some blood work back. My estrogen levels are like postmenopausal and I've only like been that way for 3 months. Sorry, Brittany, to do this to your video, but I'm like, I'm having this issue where it's just not working for me the same again. So when I saw her video, I was like, okay, good. Because what happens? Like what other habits do I quit? Like I have like, I'm doing all the things.
Right.
So I was freaking out and I'm on BHRT, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but something's not working. And then I saw that video and it gave me hope. And I'm wondering what she's done. Like, because I know she's like, it's going to take me a while so I just on my own, just this past week, I'm starting to do lower fat carnivore because of the MTHFR, gene mutation that I have. I don't process fat the same way other people do. So I'm just trying, how we are our own science projects, you guys. Like,
Right.
you got to try what works for you, and what works for you, Amy, might not work for me. So
Right.
this is what I'm trying because I'm like gaining weight and I'm like, what the hell? So what do I do? That's the only thing I can shift. So I'm trying that. And then I'm also adding, because I'm lowering the fat, I know I still need energy. And so I am trying Greek yogurt, like RFK Jr., right? He says Greek yogurt, plain, unsweetened. And I like, so this is what I've been doing is adding the Greek yogurt, blueberries, and like 1 teaspoon of raw organic honey. So that's been my carbs that I'm adding. I don't know what Lisa's doing yet. And I want her to tell us. I'm like, tell us.
Yeah. I don't think she'll add honey because she is a disordered eater, but she hasn't said exactly that. The only thing that we know she's added is cucumbers and another low glycemic vegetable, but I don't know what it is. And yeah, I mean, that's what we talk about in here all the time actually is experimentation, high fat carnivore versus low fat carnivore. Do you use any supplements?
Yeah. And by the way, I'm a disordered eater too. I had a major sugar addiction and I'm telling you, because of carnivore, and then I think more so the Parasite cleanse, I think my parasites were hungry for those carbs because I'm able to eat this yogurt with the blueberries and the honey and I'm able to eat a normal amount and put it away first time in my life. So I think the gut healing from carnivore and then the Parasite cleanse. And I'm like, this is now, cause I was testing it. I was like, Brittany, I even told her, I was like, if I like get the way I used to get, I can't do it, and It is something shifted in me where, and I do think parasites make you crave sugar, you guys.
Nobody but Mary Beth Shredder would bring me to the threshold of parasite cleanse. Nobody but her.
I never believed in it. I never thought I would do it. I told you that over text. I was like, and now I'm more than sold, and we'll talk about that later. But and then I love Dr. Anthony Chafee, and I hear him kind of talking shit about the lower fat carnivore, and I'm like, Chafee, guess what? You're not a menopausal woman. You know, like maybe be a little more open minded. You know, because Lisa didn't get there until she's 60 and gaining weight. Like I think it's important for all of us to stay a little bit open minded and not be carnivore cops. Like to where different phases of life might require different adaptations to this diet, and then we can always go back. Like it's okay.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. These are all the things everybody in here can relate exactly to what you're saying, and you too, Brittany. And I also wanted to say how wonderful I think it is that, you know, a lot of times, well, first of all, higher education is very expensive. And secondly, really great that you have found something that you love and you can start
Yes.
it right now at 19 years old instead of, you know, picking a major and then, you know, picking your sub minor and your parents paying a bunch of money or getting loans or whatever. Really great. I mean, um I'm excited for you. I'm so excited for you. Um Dennis, do you have any other questions? I have one
No, I
more.
just wanted to say thank God. I mean, thank God for your mom finding Mary Beth, but more importantly, thank God you were accepting of that and willing to take that leap. Because I don't know if
Yeah.
there's too many 19-year-olds. So I'm gonna say probably, you know, the percentage is probably really, really low.
Very low.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I have 3 kids, all in their 20s, and every time I mention it to them, it's a no-go. And my 2 daughters were on antidepressants. My son still is, and I talked to him the other day about possibly, trying to get off it, weaning off. I think, I don't know, maybe Lexapro. But he had some issue. He had some tragic event, and in his life recently.
Yeah.
And,
Take it slow. Yeah.
yeah. So, and I understand, you can't just jump into the pool, maybe, but yeah, I think it's awesome that you're doing this and take the lead.
And I'm glad
too.
you said that
Yeah.
because I want to make sure that you guys know I did not tell liability. I do not tell anyone to not take medication. That was her choice on her own. And she even told her mom, I think I'm going to quit taking ADHD. Now, do I suggest or mention my philosophies on medication? Yeah, but I don't ever tell anyone. I just say, yeah, I used to, because I used to be on it too, you guys. Like I used to have, I was diagnosed with OCD, depression, anxiety, ADHD, all the things. And I'm not on medication. So I come from a place where I know for sure, I know that it's possible. Do I still have the ADHD brain? Yeah, you can freaking tell. But I see it as a superpower now, and that's what I tell her. We get, when we're passionate about something, you get hyper focused on it and it makes you leveled up. It's not a bad thing. We got to just reframe the way we're looking at these disorders, and if you're not a little bit depressed in this world, you're not paying attention, to be honest with you. So, but focus is everything, right? Focus is everything. And I think that what you said, Amy, about her passion, that will keep her, away from the alcohol, because a lot of people drink and have anxieties because we're here. What I believe, we're here. We all have a plan. We all have a soul, our purpose. And when we are just floating around, doing things we're not interested in, sitting in a cubicle world and under fluorescent lights, that's not how we're meant to live. If you have that situation, just make sure you find something to do to supplement, find something you are passionate about, because we're here to be creative. We're creators. And then instead of doing that, we're just buying a bunch of shit, filling the void with this, filling the void with alcohol. We have a void because what we're really supposed to be doing is living our passion.
You guys fast at all, or
let me
practice fasting, or?
I have not before, but that's actually something I'm really interested in. I need to do more research on it because I don't fully understand how to prepare my body for that because I don't know a lot actually.
We didn't bring up the supplements. She asked about
Yes,
supplements.
I did see that. So supplements, I do take collagen and I noticed, so my whole life I've always had really brittle fingernails. And I had to make sure I said that right. And I never really thought I don't know, I just thought they were like that. So I started taking a collagen supplement along with carnivore and I noticed my nails got so much stronger and I was like, wow, maybe I have a lack of collagen or the ability to absorb it maybe because of the MTHFR. So I started taking that and I also take a daily vitamin. It's a
Methylated Bs?
methylated B
Yeah.
vitamin. So I have the ability to absorb that and for the MTHFR specifically.
Mm-hmm. And I knew
Dodie,
she
did
had that. I knew it.
I know actually that I want to tell you guys, you can't hide from Mary Beth Shredder. Dodie, do you have a question? I was hoping that you had a question.
Yeah, my questions, and it's been great, you guys. When you were speaking about, you both sounds like you both have an MTHFR, and so you know that you have compromised detox systems in your body, which made the whole alcohol thing 1,000 times worse.
Yeah.
So, glutathione, sauna, anything that you guys do to support your detox pathways.
I just started the glutathione and I do a liposomal one. I was going to show that to you. I just
Mhm.
started it and I actually bought my friend Jackie for her birthday. I'm buying her supplements. That's what you're going to get from me. You're going to get supplements for your birthday. Okay, guys?
Are you using Quicksilver Scientific?
No, I have that. You know, I'm on this new thing where I'm trying to like because of the addiction thing, I get a little bit obsessed with supplements. She knows I've moved a bunch down into my basement. They're in my like I was overdoing it, just like I overdo friggin' everything. I'm an extremist. So I'm trying to dial down on it because you like with the detox pathways, even too many supplements can actually clog up your pathways. Like you don't want to do too much of anything. So I'm cutting back on it, but the ones that I don't miss, I am taking a new, I am doing a probiotic that's good for menopause and I'm trying to remember the name of it. I could look it up, but, I'm also, I do a methylated multivitamin. So that covers a lot. And what else do I do? Right now I'm doing one for my hair. Because I'm vain. Yeah, because my hair was falling out. That's why.
Which one are you using for your hair?
It's called
Is it Well Bell? Oh, what is it?
It's called, I have to look it up on Amazon. I just started that one. It's called Crown of something, and it's probably got stuff I shouldn't have in my body, but I'm just trying to get my hair to grow a little bit because it was
I lost
falling out.
3/4 my Brittany, I ended up carnivore because I was trying to heal my kidney disease. And I lost 3/4 of my hair and I used Well Bell
Well,
for
Belle,
a
your hair
while.
looks
Now
great.
it's a lot better. I mean, it's like I
It
had
looks
no
really
hair.
thick.
I had no hair, like right here. It's a lot better, but I use collagen, colostrum, biotin, but I think the Wellbo is good. I'm a believer in the hair vitamins. So if you see that and you want to holler it out, do.
Mine's it's called Crown of Glory. Crown of Glory.
Fitting. It's fitting.
Back to detox. Did you use any binders?
Hell yes. You got to use binders or else you're just floating your toxins around in your body. And that is so important. That is so important. Like, don't do it if you're not going to use a binder. Just
okay. So binders and pooping then, right? Because got to do that too.
Yes. So you can take like a something that helps move that out. I take soursop bitters. And soursop's also very anti-cancer.
How do you
What is it? What is the first word? Sour what?
Soursop, SOURSOP. And I can tell you the brand.
Yeah, we haven't heard of that before.
Oh gosh, so good. And I would take it at night with the Parasite stuff and then also the binder. So those things. That's why I like try to tell people. But so I think if you got that kit though, I don't think you need
And Brittany, you're welcome to come back for the parasite conversation too.
You're
But
speaking about the cell core kit.
we're gonna that'll be
yeah,
that'll be
cell
good.
core.
Yeah.
I
So
have one other question. Brittany, I want to know how you found your passion for being a pilot.
So I actually thought about it before I went to college, but at that point, it didn't seem realistic for me, or I just didn't think it could be. So then after the fact, the whole thing happened, my whole whatever. And I started researching it right before I was like moved out of college, and I was looking at flight schools, and I was like, this is really interesting. And I started researching how I could go around having a DUI and becoming a pilot. And it looked kind of scary at first because I knew there was going to be a lot that I had to do. And then I realized, okay, it's doable. I talked to a doctor, a specific medical lawyer sort of doctor who collects this information from you and puts it all together, sends it over to the FAA. And I just realized it was possible for me. And I went on a flight with my cousin who is a pilot. He's a certified flight instructor right now. And that just confirmed my love for it already. Yep, there's me flying again. So I've taken off a few times in those little propeller planes. I did a landing with assistance, of course, and I could pretty much just fly the plane like straight through the air by myself, which is awesome. So much fun, and I love it so much. And I'm just so excited to finally get started with it. And yeah, it's something that I'm really loving.
I just sent you guys in the chat the soursop,
Okay.
the brand that I get. I also texted it to you, Amy, if you wanted to put it.
Oh, thank you.
I
will.
texted you the Amazon link to your phone. I didn't know how to do that on there.
Thank you. I will tell everybody. And one more question: when do you take your binder? And please keep in mind, everybody, I think that I'm gonna beg Mary Beth Shredder to. Well, I already did beg her to come on and talk about her parasites, and then I think maybe I mean, I guess I'll try it with if Dennis Ford will do it with me. But anyway, I think that all of us, I'm ready, I guess, to explore it, and I'm hearing and seeing that you all are. But when do you take your binder?
It's got to be at least 2 hours after your other stuff because it will absorb nutrients. So 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours. I like to wait 3 hours away from food or supplements. And Amy, I just sent you the binder that I really like.
Okay.
To
I'll
your
put
text,
it all in.
to your text.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll put it all in there. Thank you so much. I think that you're inspiring, Brittany, because you've been so intelligent about your approach, but you also seem like a very humble, sweet girl. And I'm so happy for you that you found your health and you found, this connection with your mom, and that she led you to Mary Beth Shredder. And we're very appreciative to hear your perspective. We're all cheering you on. And anytime that you want to come back and share or talk about anything, you are absolutely welcome to. Um, I want to thank you a lot, Mary Beth, because you and I don't talk all the time, but
No, we
I feel
don't.
like I look at your face on the screen when I see your when I see your face, and I'm like, I love Mary Beth. I just love Mary Beth.
Oh, I love you
So
too.
I really am appreciative of you. And let's all unmute.
Sherry has a question. She
Oh,
raised her
Sherry.
hand.
Oh, Sherry, I'm so sorry. Dennis Ford, you're doing such a good job. I did not look again. Let me bring Sherry down. Um, okay, Sherry.
I remember Sherry.
Aw, you're so good. Okay, wait, I lost Sherry. Okay, Sherry, I'm gonna ask you to unmute while I work on bringing you down.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
I just want to congratulate you on your journey here, for being so young and having the incentive to do this for yourself. It's a wonderful thing. And I'm hoping that not only will you become a pilot, but also a tutor to young kids that are experiencing what you are, because I think you'd be great at it.
Yes. And that's part of her plan. And that's why I told her, I was like, you know, the people don't learn by being shamed or nagged. They learn by example, by you being a role model, you know, a mentor. And yeah, so that's part of her plan. She wants to become a carnivore coach in addition to being a pilot. She wants, because carnivore, think about it, it gets you off of so many addictions, because in order to be a carnivore, you have to let them go.
It's a great elimination.
Yep.
It is for sure.
Yeah.
And thank you, Sherry, for saying that. I really appreciate
Well,
that. And
I
that's some,
know so many kids that need that kind of help, and they don't take direction from people my age. Usually they don't want no part of it, you know? And so there needs to be a lot more young people involved.
Yep.
exactly. And I think, yeah, educating people and not telling them what to do, but just letting them know the information, it could do a lot for young people.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Power of suggestion.
Exactly. Yes, thank you, Sherry.
I will tell you, there is a young person's carnivore / coaching group that I know of, but um, you know, I think that maybe that might be something interesting to talk about in the future. If you wanted to host some people in here for free, you definitely could, and use a Zoom to host a group of young people. That's definitely something that you could do in our platform, and it wouldn't cost that wouldn't cost me anything, wouldn't cost you anything. And Mary Beth is really good at social media, and I could definitely help you as
I
well.
am.
Get the word out. Yes, you are, Mary
I
Beth.
mean, I try.
You are, Mary Beth, and so we could definitely help you in that arena if you want to roll that around in the back of your head, because you know, you're not going to get like 100 people in your meeting, but you definitely, I don't know if you see these young girls who are coming on social media eating raw steak, but they're getting some attention, and there are a lot of younger carnivores. And so, you know, that's something you can think about, and we would definitely be willing to help you with that. So,
Yeah, and she's prepping her Instagram account because she removed a lot of her past stuff, and she's starting over. Like, and I think that's what you said,
Yeah.
right? You're going to start.
Exactly. I do
Yeah.
try to post some like reels and stuff, try to slither some stuff in there just to get it across of what my beliefs are. And a lot of people know by my stories, I have Snapchat, and all I do is post my steak that I
well,
eat.
yeah, and you
Yeah.
could, I mean, that's one of the things you could do is you could hold a meeting, you know, once a week, once every other week, and then you can put the link in your Snapchat, and you can put it in your Instagram and say, you know, show it doesn't have to be real labor intensive. Um, and then you could host a little meeting, and you guys could talk about the health benefits, and help other young people withdraw from their addictive foods, talk about, you know, the peripheral subjects like all the antidepressants, ADHD meds, you
Yeah,
know,
people will
things
start
that,
asking
yeah.
once they see,
Curiosity
hear
alone. Yeah.
once they
Yeah.
see and hear your story. People love to hear people that have healed and see a transformation from
Mhm.
here to here, and then they say, "I want to do that too." So you
Yep.
can listen to the doctors all day long, but what I always say is, you know, you walk, you talk, you talk. You know,
Yeah.
you've been there before, you've done it, so that's what people want to
Testimony.
hear.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, testimony.
very
And so,
powerful.
yeah, just keep that in mind. If you wanted to do that, we would easily, it wouldn't be a big deal at all. And Mary Beth, you better sign up. I'm
I
telling you
will.
right now.
I will.
These people are beating down the door for parasite cleanse, and I am scared. But
Yeah.
let's
We'll do it together.
Yeah, because I'm trying to get Brittany to do it
well,
too. So that would
I
be
think we should do. I was thinking we can just make it a
a
formal
group.
challenge. Yeah,
We
like
could.
prizes
Well, I'm
and the whole
done.
gamut.
I'm done because like I can't, you know, you don't want to do it You can't
You can-
over cleanse either, you guys, because that will hurt your gut back. You know, you're destroying your good gut bacteria too. So you got to be, you know, careful about overdoing a cleanse, you know.
Mary Beth, you can be the leader.
Yes.
Yeah, you can be the leader, Mary Beth, and
All
you put
right.
it on your social. You can be the leader.
I don't want to
people
be the
can-
leader of the tapeworms.
People can see pictures.
People, oh my gosh, you guys join the Parasite Cleanse group on Facebook. Like you'll
Oh.
see pictures that you cannot
Uh,
ever remove
no.
from your mind. I'm just saying.
That's maybe we'll have rules about pictures.
There
I
needs
just
to be
want
rules, boundaries.
yes, I want to thank Mary Beth and Brittany again, and I want to
Yeah,
just
thanks
remind
so
you all,
much.
Coach Don is back tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern for meditation. Please come and welcome her back. And I want to thank all of you for being here, supporting them, for Dennis co-hosting with me, for Danny helping out. And let's all give our signature goodbye and unmute and tell thank you to our guests and good night to each other.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
everybody.
Terrific.
Thank you.
We loved
Bye.
it.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you
Yes,
so
we
much.
love you.
Thank
Have a good
you.
night. Thanks, everybody.